Game Freak is known primarily as the studio that gave the world Pokémon. Beast of Reincarnation is the team's attempt to make a statement in a different genre. Before us is an action RPG with a combat system partly inspired by Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice, aesthetics referencing Nier, Automata, and a setting of post-apocalyptic Japan in the year 4026. The result is uneven and strongly an acquired taste, but in places it can be very interesting. The game has been legally imported into the Russian Federation by Achivka, the country's largest video game distributor. According to the game's lore, 2,000 years ago humanity encountered a phenomenon called the Blight, an infection that forces people and animals to transform into aggressive vegetation. To survive, people transferred their souls into mechanical beings called golems. Here and further the game terms are given in the author's translation since Russian was never brought into the game. Death was defeated but not for long. Over time, the transferred consciousnesses degraded, turning most of the golems into aggressive and dangerous creatures. The world we see at the beginning of the game is the ruins of Japan, through which blight-infected monsters Malefax roam. Among them, a particular threat is posed by the Nushi, enormous creatures around which the blight spreads especially actively. The main heroine named Emma, together with her loyal dog Ku, sets off across the entire country to the capital in order to destroy the source of the infection, that very beast that figures in the project's title. Along the way, she will have to defeat several Nushi in each of the semi-open zones that make up the structure of the game world. And it is the arrangement of these zones that, frankly speaking, evokes mixed feelings. Each of them is fairly spacious, with several paths, secluded corners, and optional encounters with enemies. The problem is that the locations turned out very samey. These are simply open fields with tall green grass that closer to the finale change into dry desert zones. A significant part of the map feels empty and inexpressive, because of which the potential for its exploration drops sharply. At the same time, the artistic design is engaging. Futuristic technologies here coexist with overgrown ruins. The bionic aesthetics of the monsters resonate with cyberpunk elements. Emma has a strict monochrome suit with angular lines, which is complemented by a braid into which living flowers are woven. After each victory over a Nushi, the number of flowers increases. In this way, the game reflects the character's progress directly in her appearance. Unfortunately, the narrative layer is realized significantly weaker. Emma, as a character, is deliberately deprived by the authors of emotions and memories. This is laid down in her backstory. But the fact that the lore explains all this by no means makes the character less boring. Wooden animations during dialogues, almost complete absence of acting. It is clear that this is intentional, but why? The mobile operations base is supposed in theory to give a sense of a living environment. In it, you can talk to several characters, including the young Kagura, who manages resources and prepares food. But these conversations, for the most part, give nothing either from the point of view of the plot or from the point of view of character development. The camera in these scenes shows no inventiveness, the characters are static, the intonations are flat in short dissatisfaction. Combat, on the contrary, intrigues even if not immediately. At its core lies a parrying system. The girl's strikes feel cool, the sounds excellently convey the dynamics of the fight, the finishers are hard. As in Sekiro, every enemy has two gauges, health and posture. Successful parries and pressure on the opponent fill the posture gauge. When it is exhausted, Emma can deliver a powerful strike that instantly kills a regular enemy. There is also dodging and blocking, but it is from parrying that the game comes out most vivid. In addition to basic attacks, Emma has unlockable arts, each of which is based on the theme of a certain flower. At the moment of the strike, huge flowers and trees bloom on the battlefield. These techniques deal significantly more damage than ordinary attacks, but require preparation and leave a window of vulnerability. They cannot be applied thoughtlessly. You need to study the opponent's behavior and look for a suitable moment. By holding the required button, the player stops time and in combat issues commands to the dog. They consume points that accumulate from successful parries. The command mechanic allows you to restrain enemies, apply ranged attacks, and create synergies with Emma's blade arts. For example, the immobilization command gives exactly as much time as is needed for a long combo. The skill trees of Emma and Ku grow as you progress and become quite branched. Different branches are oriented toward different playstyles. You can invest in long multi-hit combos with a slow start, you can develop faster and longer range techniques, you can concentrate entirely on Ku's commands. The game encourages experimentation, and so many abilities have been piled on that you do not manage to look at all of them. The bosses, the Nushi, are blight-infected animals of enormous size. They are covered in rhizomes and flowers, looking simultaneously terrifying and beautiful. Most of them have two phases. Encounters with them require competent resource management and the ability to switch between attack and defense. Alas, in the second half of the game, most bosses appear again with a higher level but with the same attack patterns. The decision to rework bosses instead of creating even more new ones is one of the most disappointing. Another irritating aspect is the camera. It starts to annoy already at the beginning of the game, but in fights with large enemies it becomes a problem. You have to stay close to the opponent. Under the feet of a huge creature, it is difficult to orient yourself. Some attacks end up outside the field of view. A similar story with Emma's hair, which is used as a traversal mechanic. She can catch onto objects with it, rise into the air, close the distance to an enemy, and initiate aerial combos. The idea is good, the implementation is unstable. The hair does not always reach the destination point, the grab sometimes fails to trigger. If one reasons about the game as a whole, then some mechanics of Beast of Reincarnation are deliberately simplified where they could have been made deeper. Ku does not simply help in combat, he effectively eliminates the need to explore the surroundings independently, pointing in advance both to enemies and to items and to characters. Cooking and resource gathering are automated. There are many rest camps, defeats almost have no consequences. For a game that seemingly positions itself as a challenging action title, the conditions are rather generous. Nevertheless, the game has cool ideas. The world of Beast of Reincarnation is permeated with themes of loss, cyclicality, and the question of what distinguishes a living being from a mechanism. Automated death and the degradation of souls in iron shells, it somehow feels topical. Each victory over a Nushi literally blossoms on Emma in the form of a new flower in her braid, and this is actually a very strong image of how something living is born from destruction. This is approximately 20-25 hours of uneven, but on the whole substantial experience with a very solid combat system.